Hello and welcome to Barry's Bubble YouTube channel. Today is my first video from this year, 2020. It is about these two guys. It's a communication, a dialogue or interaction between these two guys. One is from Italy, the other one is from England. They will introduce themselves. They will tell us about their passions, their inspirations, and maybe also expectations for the future. If you guys like this kind of videos, so subscribe to my channel and you will see more.
Hi, I'm Gregg, I'm 34. I come from a small town in the northeast of England called Hartlepool, and my passion since I was 4 has been film and acting.
Hi everybody, I'm Andrea, I'm 32 years old, I come from Sicily, and my passion is drawing. I draw since I have memory, since I was a very little kid, and I never stopped. For the moment, for me, it's just an hobby, and I keep developing my style. So this is really nice question. Actually, I don't have a proper inspiration or person that inspired me, because I'm drawing since I have memory, as I said before, and since I was a very little kid. Every time I saw a pen or a pencil, I wanted to draw in anything I could find. A piece of paper, bills, invoices. My parents were crazy, like, don't do that. But I could never stop. I could never actually stop. I was like drawing everything, like Looney Tunes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, dinosaurs, everything that a kids could love in that period, and I never stopped. I still doing it, and I might say that maybe what inspires me are comic books, because when I was like 15, 16, I started reading comics, so I had the chance to see different styles and to appreciate many different comic book artists. One of them is Milo Manara. It's Italian. It's very famous because he's the most famous erotic comic book artist in the world at the moment. And what inspired me is the fact that he was an architect until he was 30, and then he left his job to pursue his dream, that was this one, to become a comic book artist, and he did it, and he succeeded on that. So this for me was the most inspirational thing that I have read about this field, drawings, illustrations, and comic books. What about you?
For me, it all started with film. Since the moment I could sit up and watch a film, I was always lost in any sort of genre, any sort of character, and I had this terrible knack of trying to copy what I was seeing on screen, and I would do it over and over and over again until I could mimic whatever I was seeing, whether it would be an action scene in fighting, or whether it was a bar scene where they were throwing the bottles around and I was trying to practice. But yeah, I mean, I didn't actually know what was happening at the time. I was being inspired for acting. I thought I was just in love with film. But I found acting by accident through working on film. And it was, but yeah, for me it's always been about anything to do with any sort of cinema. Even going to the cinemas is probably still my favourite thing to do in the world, even more than going to a restaurant or anything like that. But yeah, I guess I don't have just one person or one moment that inspired me. It was just the whole aspect of cinema in general, and I've loved it ever since. It's my escape. Yeah. for me, how I actually started with acting was it was an incredible accident. I was working on a film for a project with the college that I was attending, and they were filming a video for all of the high schools in the area, which was to prevent crime and how you can spot it. It was a bit silly, but basically the throughout the day we were waiting for an actor to turn up to play the criminal, and he never turned up. And we had there was the media department, which is what I was studying, and then there was the theatre department. And the performing arts teacher, she asked me if I'd be willing to step in and play the criminal. And I thought, yeah, why not? Let's see what happens. And throughout the day, I was being filmed for the first time. I was being directed for the first time, and I had to act, which I didn't know what it was at the time. And then at the very end of the shoot, it was a whole day's shooting. At the very end, the performing arts teacher, a woman by the name of Barbara, who I'll never forget because she changed my life, she approached me afterwards and she said, "Have you ever thought about acting?" And I thought she was joking. I didn't believe her, and I said, "No, but I want to work in film. That's what I want to do." And she said, "Well, come and see me on Monday and we'll talk." So I went in on Monday, and she wanted me on the performing arts program. She said, "I want you to come and start training." But the college that I was working for, they wouldn't let me because I hadn't done very well in my grades. So then I found another college, which I then spent the next 6 years of my life studying 4 different versions. I was studying like foundation, A-level, and then I got my degree, and then I got my BA, all in 6 years. And yeah, it was a pretty spectacular moment for me. I mean, I guess the best thing in life is when you find out what you really want to do. When you might be lost, I don't know, till in your 20s, in your 30s, but when that moment hits you, when you know what you want to do, there's nothing better. What about you?
For me, there never was a proper start because, as I was saying before, for me it was like continue since I was a kid. But of course, with the years, I became more and more good, even without proper lessons, proper studying, because I never attend any course or any school of illustration or drawing. What I do is just what I know and what I learned from others, basically. The developing of my skills is based basically on seeing others doing what I love. And I remember that I started practicing new techniques after I went in Luca Comics in 2009, watching for the first time in real life the comic book artists that I followed in the comics, like Simone Bianchi or Gabriele Dell'Otto and many others. And I was like, yeah, I want to try this. And also thanks to YouTube, to tutorials, I learned a lot, but there was never something that was really like proper lessons, as I said, a course of studies. And that's, I think, that what also could be for me, I don't want to say an issue because it is not, but I know that I have many things to still learn, like anatomy, perspectives, so many things that you cannot really learn on your own without a proper teacher. But eventually,
yeah, but I mean, I guess in terms of that though, the way I've always looked at learning is there's only so much someone can tell you what to do. If you're not doing it, if you're not broadening what it is that you're trying to develop yourself, from an acting point of view anyway. I mean, you can get directors who they will not give you any direction.
Mm-hmm.
Their job is they believe that their job is for them to tell you where to stand, and that's it. Whereas some directors, they treat you like a blank canvas, and they are saying, right, so the character is this, and this. But you have so many people who can show you what to do. But from my own personal experience, it wasn't until these little moments clicked in my head when I started to realise it's how I need to do it. They can tell me what to do, but if I can't tell myself to do it, it's not going to work. They can say, lift your hand up like this, or look that way. It's not really going to... Well, I don't know if it's the same with drawing. I mean, you can...
Well, yeah, no, you can learn how to do it if someone tells you, but of course you have to develop your own style, your own way to do the things.
Yeah.
But everything started from something that's already, existing.
Yeah.
Like, copying or...
Copying, tracing.
Imitating, yeah.
It's like imitating is like with me with people.
Yeah.
If I see someone with a limp, I copy that person without realising, and I start limping, and I'm like, whoa, what am I doing? But I guess it's all the same.
No, it's the same. I mean, but this is not, with illustration is not like acting, because it's more technical. It's more about how good are you. Like, for example, lately I started developing skills on digital painting that I never did before, and this is nothing that you can know how to do. You have to see someone else doing it. I mean, you can be good in coloring, but it's not the same on a screen, on a digital screen. So and it's still hard for me to do that, because I think I kind of have, when it's about painting and coloring, kind of a certain style, because I think I also myself recognize very, very quickly that there is something always like the same in any illustration that I do. But it's when it's about drawing, I'm still looking for what is really mine.
Yeah. Cool.
So, to answer this question, I don't really have an answer, because it depends every time on the request, depends any time on the subject, on what people ask me to do. I took commissions in the past about portraits, about illustrations, and every time the approach is different. There is no, I mean, at least for me, there is not something that you can follow all the time. I mean, you must be inspired, you must have direction as well from the guy that asks you, and normally that's what I do. If I have to do something for someone else, I wait for directions. Like, I want this to make it to be like this and that, and I put their ideas on the paper, and I had always good feedbacks, because it was once a friend of mine told me after I did something, and said, wow, this is even better than I imagined in my mind, and this is also a good thing when you do something. But if I have to say, I mean, talking about illustrations, for example, cover books, or whatever, if you want to reinvent a comic book cover already existing with something else that it's yours, what I do normally is get inspired by movie posters, for example, to see all the geometric work that was done, how to put the characters, who's the main character, and so on, and then start sketching the preliminary work, and then put it on digital. Normally, that's what I do. But I think that's more or less all. And of course, if I need tips about coloring, I will check something already existing as well,
Yeah.
and tutorial from YouTube, and this also very good practice for me to challenge myself to do something better and better every time, to discover new techniques, new styles, and that's basically all. I suppose that for acting is a bit more complicated.
I mean, it's not. I've always started, like, when I was studying, you don't get a choice of what you're going to perform. It's provided to you. It's what you do with it. So if you're we're giving a play or a script, if someone asks you to play this character, usually you would audition, and most of the time I always knew what character I wanted to play in whatever production I wanted. So then my process is done is, well, who is the character? What are they doing? What's their main aim? And my personal goal is to always find something that's the exact opposite to me. That's the first thing I look for in terms of someone I want to play. I don't want to play myself. Why would I want to do that? I do that every day.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
yeah, it usually starts with the script, and then I read the script or the play. I read it about 3 or 4 times to get an idea of what's going on, and then I'll start looking into the character from the script, and then I'll start developing whatever's provided in the script for that particular character. I'll make notes of it, and then from those notes I'll then develop my own interpretation of it. I mean, how many people have played Hamlet or Macbeth over the years? It's your own interpretation of what it is that you think is happening off the page. Someone might disagree with this, someone might disagree with that, but it always starts with the script. And then there's a great quote from John Gielgud, who was an actor. He was in the original Alfie films. He played the butler. He always approached acting or any sort of role as a white canvas paint, and he would always say it was the director's job to paint the canvas, and then he would perform it, which I don't agree with. I think if you've got to bring something to the table yourself, and you can't do that without reading the script till you hate it, studying the character till you can't stand them anymore. Like you've spent too long with each other, and then usually what you'll tend to find is you'll meet in the middle, and then there's some sort of bond that forms, and then you can express it. That's my process anyway.
Mm-hmm. What do you think about the Daniel Day-Lewis approach?
I think everyone is entitled to their own approach. I mean, he's the only actor in the history of cinema to win 3 Best Actor Oscars, so clearly he's doing something right. But I guess the way I've always looked at it is my hero, Christian Bale. He does whatever is required so that he can do the role, whether it be method, whether it be the thinking actor, whether it just be approaching it from a different point of view. But I don't really think there's one way to do it, unless you were taught that there was one way to do it, i.e. the method, or I'm trying to think like the Stanford Mason technique. They're all different, but you can get something from all of them. Stanislavski is the one who invented the method. Mm-hmm. You can't be that character unless you've lived it. How would you do that as a serial killer? Or do you know what I mean? You couldn't go out and you couldn't do that
and kill people.
You have to think about it. You'd have to think about what would be going. You'd have to research it. You couldn't live it. But yeah, it's all a matter of perspective and opinion. For me personally, I was trained as a thinking actor, so I don't necessarily have to have been in the jungle for 3 months to play a character who's training in the jungle or whatever. It doesn't make any sense. But I do understand the approach to it. But yeah. For me, the expectation is basically just to get out there, to do it, to get back into I mean, I've been out of it since 2010 because I wanted to travel, and that was a personal choice that I made. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to experience new things. So I guess getting back into it's probably going to be that's the biggest expectation I have of myself, is that I really want to push myself, because I can't imagine doing anything else now. In terms of every job I've done, it hasn't given me even half as much happiness as it was being on stage or being on camera. And my expectation for the next few years is to just get back into it, push the grind, as they say, and just keep going. Maybe even do some plays for friends, just get myself... I have a personal goal, which I'd like to create my own YouTube channel. And I would put things like short films on, or monologues, or reviews, and like from films or plays, and just basically put myself out there and get out of my own way. That's the biggest problem, to get out of my own way, because I go through this constant back and forth about what I want to do with acting. I'm like, do I want to do it? Do I? Yeah, maybe should I? Because there's a great quote that I learned when I first started doing acting, and it's the world's best job in the world's worst business, because of how difficult and how unrealistic it can seem. But that's why I never call it a dream, because a dream implies that it's not reachable. But that's my opinion on it. What about you?
That's a hard question to answer, because my current situation is quite good. I don't complain at all. But during these years before coming to Germany, I had the chance to collaborate with people for a web series on YouTube as a storyboarder, and I realized that it's quite nice. It's quite good thing to mix, you know, the passion for the movies that I also have, and the passion for comics, because with time I realized that I couldn't be a comic book artist because I don't have the patience, and I think I don't have the skills to do that. But as an illustrator, for creating static content, you know, not something that must be continued like comics are, to tell a story. I mean, I want to tell stories in one image, but storyboards is a mix, is a kind of halfway of comics and illustrations, because you don't have to be very detailed, and it's something that can be helpful for the directors to put the scene in play, and it was really nice to hear from the director says your storyboard, they really helped us to fix the camera, to fix the scene, and it was like nice. It was nice because also recently the episodes where I worked on as a storyboarder, they are live on YouTube, and it's nice to see what you've done in motion, and it's really nice. So it's something that I would really like to do in the future, but it's nothing that I'm planning to do it like in the near future.
Sounds good.